Through the good, the bad, the ugly, we will be here making videos for you guys on Bengals Breakdown. Also going to be live for every single Bengals game. So if you want to turn the TV off and not watch the game, you guys can definitely come hang out with us and can play down in the live chat during our watch parties as well. So do not miss out on any Bengals news. We're going to have mock drafts here in the next couple of weeks, maybe even some Zac Taylor replacement videos for you guys. So don't miss out. Hit that sub button for me right now. For the second week in a row, the Cincinnati Bengals get absolutely smoked 28-3 versus the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. And you guys know by now what we do after every single Bengals game. We do our overreactions. And overreaction number one is, I think it was overreaction number one last week as well, fire Zac Taylor. This is something that I saw a lot in the chat last night. And to be honest with you guys, I'm right there with you. I completely agree. I don't think this is an overreaction at all. I just don't have faith that Zac Taylor can put together a competent game plan without Joe Burrow at quarterback. They did try a couple new things last night. They had Jalen Rivers in there at right guard. He played okay in the first half, but then the second half he kind of fell apart. They gave Mitchell Tinsley a couple more snaps in this game. I thought he was okay still, but still okay isn't going to win you games. But they still couldn't run the ball. And by halftime, the game was so far out of hand, they just had to throw it a bunch in the second half if you wanted any chance for a comeback in that game, which obviously that didn't happen. You had 11 penalties, and a bunch of those were pre-snap penalties. To me, that says a lot about coaching, including, this is a continual thing that we see year in and year out, week in and week out, is the fact that Zac Taylor cannot get the play call in quick enough. You stay breaking the huddle with less than 10 seconds on the clock. That just happens on a weekly basis. Last night, the Bengals had more penalties than they had first downs. They had 11 penalties. They only had 9 first downs in that game. And the fact that you absolutely refuse to blitz is just asinine to me. You can't generate any kind of organic pass rush to save their lives. And they don't even try to dial anything up. The Bengals right now have the lowest blitz rate in the National Football League. And without doing that, you can't get to the quarterback either. Nobody else besides Trey Hendrickson can do it. And still, last night, Trey Hendrickson was just getting bullied all around the football field last night. And I saw some folks saying that, you should just tear it all down, trade a bunch of guys, trade Trey Hendrickson, load up on some of those top 100 picks. I think the problem there is, I don't really have faith that, this Bengals front office and Zac Taylor can evaluate talent, to be completely honest with you. Either that or they just don't know how to utilize the talent. Since 2019, these are your top 100 picks for the Cincinnati Bengals under Zac Taylor. Jonah Williams, he was okay. He was serviceable for a while, but obviously he's not on the team anymore. He didn't really work out for the Bengals. Drew Sample, okay, it's a tight end. He's not the biggest, impact player for your team. Germaine Pratt was a big impact player for your team, but he's not on the team anymore. You go to 2020, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, very easy hits right there. You'd have to be a crazy person to not look at Joe Burrow in college and, understand that he was going to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. Logan Wilson, he's a team captain. He's been pretty good for you as well. Jamar Chase, that's a no-brainer. That's a duh. Jackson Carman, he's not, he was absolutely awful. I think Joseph Ossai's been super mid for you. I don't think he comes out here and, offers you any kind of, crazy help on the defensive side of the ball. Daxton Hill, we've seen the problems with him. Zac Carter's not on the team anymore. Myles Murphy doesn't really offer you anything in the pass rush. DJ Turner, Jordan Battle, those guys really haven't been, that good either. I know they're kind of going in to year 2 here, and you probably want to still, give them a little bit of leash. But, it comes to a point where, you're going out there and you're just wasting these top 100 picks. You go to 2024, Amarius Mims. Okay, we're still in the second year here for him, so maybe some things can, get a little bit better. But last night, he looked awful. Kris Jenkins Jr., he's just been okay for you so far. Jermaine Burton is just constantly a healthy scratch. Same with McKinnley Jackson there. There's 2 more top 100 picks that have been wasted. And then this past year, you got Shemar Stewart. He's been hurt. Not really going to knock him that much on that. And Demetrius Knight, sure, he's up there right now on the team in tackles, but a lot of those tackles are downfield. These linebackers can't cover anybody. And Dylan Fairchild, he's been okay for a rookie, I guess, but still, I just don't have faith that this Bengals coaching staff and front office with Duke Tobin can consistently evaluate and hit on these draft picks. And that's a major problem, because if you want to go and, pile up some draft picks, by trading other guys and build your team through the draft, you got to be able to hit on some of these draft picks more consistently than you are actually doing right now, because right now, since 2019, you've wasted a ton of top 100 picks, and that is a recipe for failure. So I want to hear from you guys down at the pinned comment of today's show. Will Zac Taylor be the Bengals head coach in 2026? Let me know what you guys think. Be honest with me. It's not what you would do. It's what you think the Bengals are going to do here. Type Y for yes or N for no down in the comment section of today's video. Overreaction number 2. The season is over. I'm not going to quite say it's over yet. You're 2-2 through 4 weeks here, but the outlook right now is not looking very good for the Bengals. Their schedule down the road is pretty tough. Best case scenario, you might get Joe Burrow back in December. But I cannot imagine that they would actually play Joe Burrow if you're not in playoff contention. And the schedule right now is not very promising with how the Bengals are playing right now. Let's go to the next 10 weeks. These are probably the games that Joe Burrow is most likely going to miss. He might be back for week 14, week 15, but that is a very, very, hopeful outcome if you could get him back there. I see you taking an L to the Lions. I see you taking an L to the Green Bay Packers. Steelers, Jets, maybe those are coin flips there. Bears, maybe a coin flip, but they looked a whole lot better last week, so that's probably not looking good for you there. Steelers again, Patriots, maybe you could win those games, but I'm not feeling too confident about those. Then you go to the Ravens, you go to the Bills, then you play the Ravens at home. That's not a very good stretch of games that really makes you feel confident that you could at least go, 500 in those games to set you up in a, at least be 500 by the time Joe Burrow gets back. Best case scenario, I think, is Joe Burrow gets back by week 16. If you get him back, these are definitely 3 winnable games for the Bengals. But if you're not in that position where you are in playoff contention, by the time, these games roll around, I don't really see a world where they bring Joe Burrow back. So is the season over? Technically, no. But, we're not sitting in a very, very good spot right now if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, we'll continue with some more overreactions here in just a second. But this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I use PrizePicks for a ton of different types of sporting events, whether it's professional football, we've got baseball as well, basketball, college sports, MMA, boxing, and so much more. PrizePicks is a ton of fun, and if you guys know ball, you can win real money all season long on PrizePicks. This is what our guy Jack Lotteray, big baseball, big Boston Red Sox fan here at Chat Sports, cooked up for us for the playoffs coming up here, starting tonight, going with Garrett Crochet, more than pitcher strikeouts at 7.5. Masataka, I'm terrible with his name, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name there. More than total bases, just a half base for him. And then Max Fried, more than just a half walk. So if he walks anybody in this game, that one will come true. New to PrizePicks, it is the only app that actually offers stacks, which means you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Josh Allen's passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same PrizePicks lineup, only on PrizePicks. Play PrizePicks to get action on football in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Overreaction number 3 here. I've seen a lot of this, and I get where Bengals fans are coming from here. You want to trade for a quarterback. I just don't legitimately think there is any backup quarterback out there that could actually help this Bengals team, especially with all the problems that you have right now. And none of those, I don't think, are really going to get fixed here in the near future. They still kill themselves with penalties. The O-line is still mega booty ass cheeks. The defense can't stop them nosebleeds, so you're always playing from behind. And, sure, a guy like Jameis Winston might be fun. I don't think the Giants really want to trade him right now. Russell Wilson is probably the most logical trade option if you want to go down that route. But let's be honest, he still kind of sucks. And I can't imagine that any quarterback would genuinely look good behind this offensive line right now, especially when you have zero run game. That doesn't help your quarterback at all when you're trying to do the play action, when you're trying to hit those deep balls or anything like that, push the ball downfield. It's a great thought. I would love to go out there and trade for a quarterback too, but I just don't think there is anyone right now in the National Football League that could genuinely help this Bengals team. So if you want to trade for a quarterback, let me know who you would want to trade for. Let me know a quarterback name down in the comments section that you guys think would actually help you if you ended up going out and trading for him. Overreaction number 4. It is officially mock draft season. This is not an overreaction. Hell, we might even have one for you guys this week. The problem here is, do you really trust this coaching staff, this front office to hit on picks? Because I don't, not on a consistent basis anyways. And also, there are just so many glaring problems on this roster right now. I really don't even know where to start. You start at safety. You don't have a linebacker that can really cover anybody. Orlando Brown is about to be a free agent after the season, so you need another tackle. You'll also need to replace somebody at guard because Lucas Patrick and Dalton Risner are both on one-year deals. A competent corner would help you. That's definitely for sure, because the guys that you got out there right now, it's very much hit or miss whether they're actually going to go out there and consistently be able to cover guys. I understand it's part of being a corner. You're going to get beat sometimes, but look, these Bengals corners right now are just not very good on a consistent basis. And now, because you didn't extend Trey Hendrickson, you also need to go out there and probably draft another edge rusher as well, because I don't really have faith in Joseph Ossai and Myles Murphy. Those guys have really just been non-factors in games this year for you. They just don't really help you out at all, whether it's pass rush or in the run game. There are just a ton of holes to fix on this Bengals team right now, and unfortunately, it may take a couple years in the draft to actually fix those.